Welcome to Executives at the Edge, a podcast brought to you by MEF. I'm your host, Pascal Menezes. Join me as we explore thought-provoking perspectives from the leaders and changemakers who are propelling enterprise digital transformation forward. I'm really very excited to have Arun Dev, Global Head of Digital Interconnection at Equinix. Arun, welcome to Executives at the Edge. And today I believe we're going to cover some really incredible areas. Obviously you came from the data center space, but you're really having this interconnection fabric connecting all the clouds, all the providers, all the enterprises, and really some amazing areas about AI, private AI, and what you see power and the usage of power and what the demand for power will be coming in for these data centers. So Arun, if you can just give our listeners a little bit of background about yourself and Equinix, that would be appreciated.
Hi, Pascal. Thank you for having me here. I'm very excited to be here. I'm currently Vice President and Global Head for Digital Interconnection at Equinix. I've got responsibility for the overall profitability and growth of our Equinix Digital Interconnection business. This includes managing an existing portfolio and new product innovation. A little bit about my background. Been in software for a very long time. In the cloud infrastructure space for the last 10 years, building and running cloud services. And prior to that, I built enterprise software for a whole decade. Now at Equinix, I've been in this role since late 2022. For listeners who aren't familiar with Equinix, Equinix is the world's largest digital infrastructure company. Our purpose is to be the platform where the world comes together, enabling innovations that enrich our work, life, and planet. We own and operate over 250 data centers around the globe, 71 metros in 32 countries, where we provide interconnection services to more than 10,000 companies. We enable businesses to move to hybrid cloud models quickly, interconnect with partners, customers, and employees easily, really to deliver world-class experiences. Some of the companies that we work with are some of the largest and most innovative enterprises. This includes half of the Fortune 500 and the who's who of digital economy. This includes ones like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, AT&T, Walmart, Uber, Salesforce. These enterprises run their services at Equinix on our digital infrastructure. Digital infrastructure is really a maze of technologies that most people don't see or know much about, but they're essential to our daily lives, as digital infrastructure is the backbone of today's economy.
So Arun, Equinix has been around a long time, really an amazing company of success. Let me see if I can just highlight what you just said to make it maybe easier for everybody, and tell me if I got it wrong. So I think Equinix started as a colo facility where you had data centers, people would come in, you have given power and space with a cage, and then there'd be a meet me with all the fiber companies coming in. And then from there evolved to, then you built this backbone interconnecting all your data centers, and that's your fabric, right? You call it your fabric.
That's correct. Yes.
And then now people could go and use your backbone to connect to any other data center in Equinix's footprint. And then the fabric connected to all the clouds. Then it was a direct connection to all these hyperscalers and more clouds, right? And then
that's correct.
And then additionally, you brought in edge compute in all these data centers with your edge compute product. So now you can load in on bare metal or VMs or containers. I don't know where you are today, but and additionally, companies sometimes just bring in their kind of private cloud, private data, put it in a cage, and they're connected right to everything, or they connect through some last mile provider with very high speeds to their sites. Do I have that correct?
You have that right. We're 25 years old. We started in, as you described, primarily in the internet exchange space. Colo or co-location, where we sell space and power, was the core part of our business. But over the last 25 years, Pascal, you covered a lot of things that have led to the success of Equinix, which is the neutrality, the place where the world comes to interconnect. Whether you're bringing your workloads to run at Equinix or whether you want to connect to a counterparty at Equinix, we make it easy. Fabric is our virtualized software-defined network. You can connect globally. Some of the biggest advantages have which what we call cloud adjacency. Equinix has about 40% market share in on-ramps to major cloud providers. So if you want the lowest latency to AWS or GCP, the best place to do that is at Equinix. And we've evolved as well, Pascal, as you talked a little bit about the model that we offer customers. If you want a CapEx model and you want to bring your own equipment, you want to run your own architecture, you could do that. But we also have a set of virtualized services. You talked a little bit about our edge compute capabilities. We have that in 32 markets. We have cloud adjacent storage capabilities, and we have a whole suite of networking services as well. So all of this gives capabilities and choice for our customers.
Yeah, what an evolution, actually. So look at Arun. What are the major issues enterprises are facing today? Obviously, you interact with them a lot. They all want to go to cloud. So what are they facing when they talk about multi-cloud networking? How does that play into it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Most of our enterprise conversations or customer conversations or analyst conversations are turning to what's been going on in the cloud world. And what we've observed is our customers are getting savvy with where they want to place their workloads. So Pascal, if you go back to like the early days of clouds, it was just like, let's shift all our workloads into cloud. Let's just lift it. Let's go to a cloud. And during the COVID years, we could go to whichever cloud you wanted. But what's happened since then is the enterprises and the customers have gotten very savvy about which workload works best in which cloud. And some workloads are meant for a particular public cloud. Some are meant for on-prem at a colo where they want to run the workload themselves. Now, what we're seeing is the complexities of these environments is becoming a barrier, right? Standing in the way of the enterprises, maximizing the potential of this multi-cloud approach. Now, where does Equinix come in is we're that trusted partner where we're able to help the customers with simplifying some of the connectivity solutions, whether they run at Equinix or they're doing a cloud-to-cloud set of solutions. And as we go through some of these conversations, we've shared some of the learnings as well, and the capabilities that we described at the beginning, whether you want an OpEx model or you want a CapEx model or you want a virtualized set or you want to run your own services, we can offer those capabilities.
So you said managing these multi-clouds, this complexity of multi-clouds, hybrid and multi-cloud. So what's your thoughts on managing today's digital infrastructure? It seems extremely complex. There's a number of networking solutions, all kinds of clouds. It doesn't seem like it will evolve on its own. What can IT leaders do to get in front of this and make their jobs easier?
It's a great question. Yeah, multi-cloud's kind of reached that breaking point. We just talked a little bit about how we got here. CIOs are now dealing with the realities of complex digital infrastructure. I shared a little bit, they need a trusted partner to kind of help them. We talked a little bit about this evolution. We have been cloud and network neutral. We've been that way for 25 years. We built this ecosystem with low latency access to the clouds. So we're now able to give them a set of capabilities. Some of these are tied to, whether it's cost or complexity, whether it's security or control. And especially with, at some point, AI is going to come up. AI is driving another level of anxiety with CIOs because they're now having to connect and figure out how they're going to make all of this work. One of the big things that we're proponents of, Pascal, this is going to be near and dear to your heart, is standards-based integration. APIs first, standardizing, and we make it easy for customers and enterprises to be able to connect. We've got some new capabilities. Equinix announced a cloud router in late December. We've got some more advanced capabilities coming this year. All of this to really simplify this hybrid multi-cloud challenge that customers have.
So cloud router means you come to me and I will take you to any of your clouds, your private clouds, public clouds. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what you mean. So historically, what enterprises would do is when they wanted to connect to clouds, they would set up a physical presence at Equinix. They would either use cross connects that you mentioned or Equinix Fabric. They would bring their own physical routers, their own equipment. They would manage it. They would have to run all of this infrastructure. And let's assume you expand into a couple of different markets. You're going to have to rinse and repeat. What Cloud Router does, it's a fully virtualized cloud-like service. You can spin it up in under a minute. You can connect to a cloud in under 45 seconds. Don't have to worry about HA. Don't have to worry about licensing. It's truly like the way the clouds have made it easy to consume. So this is routing, virtual routing as a service.
That is actually really amazing. That's a really innovative idea. Congratulations. I do see all the time where when I connect to hyperscaler clouds specifically, that I have to go get a key because I'm a tenant over there. I have to get the key from my tenancy, bring it back to the telecom provider, or in case maybe you, and then you have to stitch it all together. Is there no way that going in the future, an enterprise can say, I want to connect to these clouds, at these locations, at these speeds. What's the cost? Point and click, done.
Yeah, I like to call it the Expedia model. The easiest way for me to describe what you just shared, Pascal, is when you go to Expedia, you say, I want to go from here to here.
Yes.
I want to go on a Thursday. I want to go in the morning, and I want the fastest route. I want the cheapest route. I want, a first class seat and economy seat. All I do is I put that in, and then Expedia shows you the best ways to do it, and you just click on there and you have a ticket. Now, with connectivity is what you just pointed out. This is work that we are doing with the hyperscalers. So the major clouds and what we call the next tier of clouds to make it easier for our customers to connect. So as you shared, like you got to get a key, you've got to do a little bit of extra work. And we call that the undifferentiated heavy lifting, which adds friction to the process. So we're in active discussions with a couple of hyperscalers to really simplify this, and we want to be able to expand this to the other clouds. That way, when you come and say, I want to connect to OCI, you just click the button, and we've taken care of all of the identity work and the permissions in the backend.
So that's interesting. We have an accelerator project doing exactly this, so maybe we should talk to really enable this idea of a frictionless multi-clouds, not just to hyperscalers, to all clouds. SaaS clouds, PaaS clouds, communication platform as a cloud, all kinds of areas of clouds. And how do you present that in the catalog and so on? So, we won't bore the listeners with this, but definitely we have a big accelerator project in this, and many providers and even automation vendors are interested in this use case. But hey, you talked about AI. It's interesting. I was reading an article. Is it networking AI or is it AI for networks? Meaning, do we have to build out networks just to support AI? Because AI takes a tremendous amount of network capacity, and the latency has to be very, very small. And so you talk about, so give us your insight on AI. You talked about that just briefly.
Yeah, AI comes up in every analyst, every customer conversation. And what we're seeing, Pascal, is we're seeing, enterprises are being a little cautious, evaluating the potential benefits of AI. And when I say cautious, they're being measured. They want to take a strategic approach about making sure that they don't put their valuable intellectual property at risk. So a lot of the enterprises that we talk to are starting to build their own AI models. They host models on private infrastructure. They use proprietary data sets to train them. And this is what we refer to as private AI. Earlier in the podcast, I talked a little bit about them being very cloud savvy. Now, for some of their AI needs, they're perfectly happy with a public model running in one of the clouds, or they're willing to use that. Private AI is very specific for them. It's a single tenant set of capabilities. They want to execute their AI strategy while maintaining full control and custody of their data. And this is true in a lot of the heavily regulated industries, primarily healthcare, financial services. The benefits are obvious, but they want to be very careful to avoid doing anything that might place their sensitive data at risk. So private AI, again, is a natural fit. Now, if you're in the unregulated set of industries, there's still some benefit from AI, but the value proposition isn't always as clear. Now, businesses need to consider trade-offs, both of data leakage and the cost and flexibility impact of doing AI in public infrastructure.
So I think I read an article about, there's data at rest and data in motion. And everybody wants to now secure that because that's data is the gold. And so are you talking now using quantum computing to encrypt for data in motion and data at rest? Are you talking like what exactly will Equinix play in this game with AI coming in? Because you're not going to build out the deep neural networks yourself or for these private AI kind of
We we're the role that we see Equinix playing is twofold. One is we talked a little bit about our core location business. So if an enterprise decides to set up their own private AI infrastructure, they work with NVIDIA, get all of the equipment. We make it possible. We make the high density racks, the liquid cooling, everything that they need to run the AI infrastructure at Equinix. Now that's complicated, as you said, right? The networking is complicated, the setup is complicated. Now we've also partnered with NVIDIA to have a managed DGX cloud offering. So in this case, it's the entire NVIDIA stack that NVIDIA has set up at Equinix. It comes with professionally managed services to handle some of the complexities. So today, from an AI perspective, we offer two flavors for customers. If they want to run their own infrastructure, we have the set of data centers that are equipped to do it. We also have a fully managed service. So depending on their sensitivity needs or like where they are in the maturity and operating infrastructure, we give them choice.
Now, doesn't the hyperscalers offer the same thing? I mean, what I think I'm hearing is you can come to Equinix, you've made a deal with NVIDIA, you have the CPUs, the GPUs, the MPUs, and all the different PUs. And basically you create all this massive cluster that then load in your deep neural networks or whatever networks are you running today, transformers and so on. And basically that's theirs, right? They own it. And it's a private AI. It's called private AI.
That's private AI. It really comes down to data. Is if you want to have full control of your data, you can run it in your own infrastructure. We'll give you the connectivity and the infrastructure to run it. You're in full control of your data. If you decide to use a public cloud provider, if you decide to use another provider, your data now has to be shared with the public cloud or with the AI provider. That's where the regulated industries are getting a little nervous about their data. They're not sure if they should be sharing all of their data. So this is kind of where the whole, private AI, again, this is driven by a lot of customer demand, Pascal. And this is, it's still emerging. As I mentioned, regulated industries, the value is clear. If you're not in regulated, then it may, from a cost perspective, it may just be cheaper to run on a public cloud model.
So give us an example, because it's fascinating for me, and I know I'm going to derail a bit off the show schedule here, but it's fascinating about the AI stuff. So generative AI, I've heard it takes like something like 50,000 compute nodes or some large amount of very low latencies, all interconnect. That's why low latency Ethernet is going to be a big deal. Because today we're using not fiber channel, but
InfiniBand.
InfiniBand, right? Which has been around forever. So tell us, is it really taking that much to run a neural network up for AI?
Well, it really depends on the scale of the model and what they're looking to run at. The private AI configurations that we talked about is we work with our enterprise customers on what their specific needs are, and then we don't always have full knowledge of like how they're setting up. We get sense of like power and space and cooling that's needed. Now, from the DGX perspective, these are, again, specs that come right from NVIDIA. It's NVIDIA designed built. It's just operated by Equinix. So there's a couple of different flavors. And so we're not talking about the massive ones, Pascal, that you said that let's say you're going to do all of like what a public cloud provider would have. These are more smaller private instances that we build.
Got it. Okay, good. Good to know they're not 100,000 nodes. Wow,
and the power. I think the biggest challenge we're going to face is the power needs that this is all going to drive.
I was going to just ask you that. So data centers are responsible for 1 to 2% of the world's electricity now demand. So tell us more about how do you see this panning out? Because everybody's now really conscious about this. And I was just talking to another analyst or customer, and they told me that it was a customer provider, and they told me because of the electrical bills have all gone up, their operational costs have up enormously because they're running still appliances and blah blah blah. So all that cost is huge now. So yeah, please.
Yeah, as AI demand accelerates, one of our biggest challenges as an industry is the power that we need to be able to support this. From an Equinix perspective, we've been looking at this for a number of years. It just hasn't been something that we woke up with the AI when AI became a buzzword. We've been focused on sustainability. I think when data centers, the name data centers come up, the question of sustainability comes up. So we've had science-based targets for a number of years. We've got a co-innovation facility that we run in Ashburn to really evaluate the next generation of technology. And as these power requirements continue to go up for the high-density AI deployments, we're starting to introduce liquid cooling technologies, either direct-to-chip, immersion, or rear-door heat exchangers. Just last December, we announced our plans to support advanced liquid cooling technologies, direct-to-chip, at more than 100 of our locations. And so we're starting to lead the market in this space. There's still a lot more to be done. All of this starts to kind of like help us in this journey, but the availability of power still becomes a concern just because of how much it requires to run these high-density hardware. We're also exploring other options like fuel cell technology. How do we now use backup generators if things go down? There's a lot going on in this space, Pascal, but the biggest one to watch for is the availability of power. Now, I've also read reports where in certain areas, like the local power utility said it'll be 3 to 5 years before they have enough power for some of the new builds. So when you think about it, like how far the AI industry is advanced in a short period, if you have to wait for 3 to 5 years to have the power to take that next leap, you're going to go out, start looking for like alternative options for power. But it is putting a strain on a lot of local entities.
Yeah, I could really understand why power plays in the digital economy. Power is critically important, and it has to be stable and be very consistently available. And I think in many parts of the world, that's not a norm. Now, of course, we have backup generators and all this fancy stuff, but everything wants more and more power. So it's great to hear that Equinix is addressing this wherever you can, and I think the industry has to address this as a whole. So interesting as we try to get off, fossil fuel, what that will look like, because we're still very dependent on fossil fuel in some ways and coal, and people don't realize that. So I know it's going to be a long time to finally get off fossil fuel and finally get into some very practical ways of delivering power, but we'll see. But Arun, thank you for your time and at Executives at the Edge. Really enlightening discussion for me. I learned so much from you and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Pascal. Appreciate the time. Looking forward to continuing to partner with you and the MEF as we go forward.
Thanks for joining us for Executives at the Edge. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe today. Share online a review. Find all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform and at MEF.net.